Hi everyone, I'm Stan, product manager here at Ellie, and today we have a new feature release that I'm super excited to share. Specifically, we're talking about reusable logical entities, which is a part of our 8.0 release. So one of our strategic pillars when building Ellie as a product is making assets reusable across Ellie. You can see it fully in our conceptual model in Canvas. And what we heard from our customers is that they wanted to bring it to the rest of Ellie as well. As part of that, we learned very clearly that customers wanted to bring conceptual entity functionality to the logical model in Canvas. Specifically, they wanted to be able to customize the entity, metadata and attributes. They wanted to have glossaries for their logical entities, and they wanted to have them reusable, meaning that you could use the same entity across multiple models. And with this release, all of these features are here. With our reusable logical entities release, you can now create logical entities as local entities. You can also promote local entities to your glossary, so add them to the glossary. You can use these glossary entities across multiple models, and if you make any change, it will be automatically propagated to the rest of the models where it's used. And now you can find your glossary entities in different folders, so where they belong in the glossaries. You can find them in search and advanced search, and you can use them very similarly to how you could use our conceptual entities already. One important thing to note about the logical entities is that there are three types of entities in your logical model in Canvas. Entities can be local, meaning that they belong specifically to that model. So you cannot find them in search. They're not in the glossary. Other people can't reuse them, but you can promote them to become a glossary entity. The glossary entity looks like a normal entity. The local entity has this little L icon indicating that it's a local entity. And then there are also foreign glossary entities on your canvas. They are highlighted with this italic font. So when you hover on the entity name, you'll see the path from where the entity is coming. And the main idea is that by default, we recommend you start by using local entities. You can then promote them to glossary, and then you can reuse them across your models. So without further ado, let's jump into the demo, and I'm happy to show you how it works in practice. So here's my Acme Inc. environment, and I'm going to be working on the marketing folder. Specifically, I'm going to create a logical model for our CRM. I'm going to create the model. And the first thing you'll notice as a change in our logical model in Canvas is now when you press the plus button, we won't automatically add the entity, but instead, very similar to how we have it in our conceptual model in Canvas, you will see a search or create entity toolbar. And here I can, let's say I want to add a customer entity. What I'll notice is now I have a couple of options. I can create the customer entity as a local entity specifically for this model. I can add it to a glossary, so I can straight away create a glossary term, or I can use one of the existing glossary terms. So we can see that the customer entity already exists in the enterprise glossary, and also there's one for sales. Let's add the sales customer entity. And what you can see, we automatically bring all the attributes and information from that entity. For the sake of a demo, I'm just going to create a local customer entity. And now I have two entities on my canvas. Let me add another one. Let's create a lead entity in our marketing glossary. So as I was showing in the presentation, you can see that the names look a bit different. So the customer entity that we just created that is local has this little L, which when I hover, it says that it's a local entity. There is a customer entity that we brought from our sales glossary, which you can see already shows that it's a customer entity from the sales glossary when I hover on it. And then I have the lead entity that we added to our glossary. So I like the customer entity from the sales, but I'm going to create my own one specifically for this model. I'm going to edit the entity and let me add some of the attributes. So let's say we have the customer ID. Let's make it an int and let's make it a primary key. And then let's add a couple of extra attributes. Let's say customer type. Let's make it varchar. And let's also have the full name as varchar. So I have my customer entity that is currently local. This means that it can only be used in this model and I cannot use it anywhere else. But what I can do if I click on it, is I can add it to the glossary. So I'm going to add the entity to my marketing glossary, and there we go. What this means is, in practice, is that if I go to my marketing folder, you can now see that the customer entity exists in my glossary. So if I go specifically to logical, I can see that there's the customer entity. And when I open it, we now have single entity pages specifically for your logical entities. So you can just share a link with your colleague and they will be able to open this view as well. And you can make any changes here. When you make the changes, they will automatically propagate to the models where this entity is used. So let's add an extra attribute, and let's say it will be is active customer, and let's make it a Boolean. Let's save it. And let's go back to our marketing folder and open the CRM model. As you can see, the isCustomer attribute has automatically been added to my CRM model because this is a reusable entity. So let's continue building our model. I'm going to delete the customer entity from sales because we now have our marketing definition. Let's say we have a lead, and let's see what other entities we could add to the model. Let's say we have the address already in our enterprise glossary, but then we also need city and country. And let's try to draw this model further. So we would have our customer, we have a city, address, and lead and country. So we should have a country ID. And let's connect it to city. So for one country, we have many cities. For one city, we have many addresses. And then let's say lead and customer both should have an address. So let's have that one customer can have many addresses and one lead can have many addresses. Let's use our auto draw. And then we have our draft version of the model. This is of course not a full CRM model, but it's good enough for this demo. So now we have a couple of entities already defined. We've created a customer entity and the lead entity. Let's maybe populate the lead entity just a little bit. So let's add lead ID. Let's make it an int. And then also let's add full name as varchar. All right. So now I have a couple of my entities, and they are all reusable. So if I would go to another folder, let's say we'll create an enterprise model. I'm going to create a demo model, logical model. All of the entities that we have created can now be reused in my demo model because they are glossary terms. Just like with our conceptual entities, you can now use them in your model. You can use them from different folders. You can pick and match as you wish, and you can reuse your entities across your models. As mentioned in the initial presentation, you can also find these assets now in your quick search. So you can see that these are the recent entities that are logical that we've been using. So I can just open and it will open the entity. And if I go to the advanced search, also here, you can now define the level of your assets to be logical, and all the logical entities will be here as well. One important thing I'll add as well is that now you can also set entity types to your logical entities. For now, this feature is only in the glossary, but in the coming weeks, we'll also be adding it to our logical modeling canvas. Additionally to that, entity settings that you customize for your conceptual entities now also connect to your logical entities. So if you add additional columns in your single entity view, the logical entities will also have these columns. We have some upcoming improvements coming to this functionality to unify the entity settings across the levels, and that will give you even more power of customization. Some important small things I'll notice about this change is because we are unifying our attribute fields across levels, There are now additional attribute fields by default available to your environment. And also in our conceptual entity, we did make a small change. Specifically, now the format attribute field is changed to data type. With the release of reusable logical entities, you now have the full power of reusability that you are very familiar in our conceptual modeling canvas, also in your logical canvas. If you have any questions about this feature or need help, make sure to reach out to support@Ellie.ai and we'll be happy to help. Thank you for your time. I'm Dmitriev from Ellie.ai. Have a good one.